I reckon for the general football population, the most anticipated game of this first weekend of the finals comes on Friday night at a sold-out MCG. Two teams on such a rise. They have so much going for them, the Hawks and the Bulldogs. And for Hawthorn, it's a return to prime time as they have become box office brown and gold.
Why do we watch the game? It's entertainment. To those 40-odd thousand fans that are there, it's entertainment. I think the game has grown this year from the joy of youth.
It's the charge towards the final month of the season that broke convention.
That's what the Hawks fans needed. They are must-see TV, the Hawks, aren't they?
Powered by the exuberance of youth, this brash breed of the brown and gold have done it their way in 2024. The fearlessness and flair capturing the fascination of the footy world.
I think it's cool right now to be a Hawthorn player. They're having an absolute ball, and get on board, I say. This is the Showtime Hawks.
Armed with fleet-of-foot small forwards, running towards the big moments.
What's it got for us, Wizard? More! He's out the back! More! Ginnivan has kicked the goal!
All under the watchful eye of a senior coach who knows what success looks like.
It'll be a short time of reflection and then really diligent planning to make sure that we're as well prepared as we possibly can be to give September everything we have.
Now, the Showtime Hawks are September bound.
I love what they're doing. I love healthy football arrogance. Embrace it for what it is.
Wait a minute, get it how you live it. 10 toes in when we standing on business.
History tells us premierships are hard to win from outside the top four.
They're off to see the Wizard.
The only history these Hawks care about is the one they're creating.
And every other club fears what's ahead. Just what might they achieve? And how would they celebrate?
Coming soon, all right. Coming before us on Friday night at the MCG. The Western Bulldogs and the Hawks in the second elimination final. We've shared the year with Sam Mitchell. We were off kilter early. We kept having you on all the wrong days. We've finally caught up. It's nice to see you again, Sam. Welcome.
Yeah, it is a little bit easier driving here after a win or after on positive news.
I don't imagine excitement's a big issue in your corridors, would it be? They'd be feeling it.
I mean, I think it feels like it's been a long time. Everyone's like, oh, how's the week? It must be exciting. It feels like it's been stretched out over so long that it's hard to know. You can't keep the excitement for that long. So it's really been quite down so far. But main training tomorrow, and then we train at the MCG on Thursday, and then we play. So
Buying up or down?
It's been good for our boys to have a bit of a rest, I think. We've played a lot of really important games for a long block. So I love the momentum of keeping going, and I haven't loved not having AFL men's footy at least and this week, but no, I think it was good for our boys.
So when you mentioned in Tassie you would take a moment or two to acknowledge what had been achieved, how did you do that with your group?
Well, we didn't actually. We just did it on our own, basically. So we took the Monday and Tuesday off, and we just had a couple of days away from the club where we just refreshed, I guess. And then we came back in on Wednesday. We did our normal sort of game review and treated the week, as a preparation phase for something that's pretty exciting. I haven't coached a final. Most of our players haven't played a final, and Friday nights, most of the team haven't played in one. So there's lots of excitement about what's happening.
Has it's just been an enthralling year. We've loved it and well done and all that sort of stuff. Hawk Bowl, is that just a player thing, or is the coaches in some ways been swept up in it at all?
I don't actually exactly know what it means, to be honest with you.
You don't know what
well,
it is?
You kind of get a vague idea, but
come on.
Sometimes the exact language that the young people of today use goes well over my head. I don't try to keep up with it. What I always am making sure that we focus on is two aspects of the way we play. One is the part that you guys love, which is the exuberance and the personalities and the celebrations. But what we value on the inside of the club is, those things are great, but they come off the back of really good hard work, whether that's tackling or pressure or spoils or the basics of the game. We make sure that we're very heavily focused.
Are you more focused on that? Because players can play the game. They're drafted because they've got talent. how much emphasis is it on the defence and defensive side of the game and making sure your man's not doing too much and you're working together as a team?
Well, all of it, really. I mean, that's all of your focus. I mean, I think it's old Alan Jeans. Either we've got it, they've got it, or it's in dispute. This game is still broken up into the basics and making sure we're as well prepared in each of those phases. I think defensively this year, so the Bulldogs are the best defensive team in the competition. They've conceded 27 less points than us, and I think we're 5th. So there's 5 teams within 5 or 6 goals of each other across a whole season. Like, it's been unbelievably close.
The mental, emotional side of football. What's the fine line of talking to these players and preparing them for September, Friday night, 90,000, finals football, and you've played, but not overloading them with what's possible and et cetera, how's that balance?
Oh, it's exactly what's on my mind, if I'm really honest. I think you deal with this game. There's a part of you that's like, it's a normal game. They're still going to bounce the ball. It's just a normal game. We've played in front of 90,000 this year in Dusty's 300. So we've been to that before. So it's a normal game. But there's a part of me that's saying, OK, it's different because everything's going to feel like it's more important. How much do you talk to the players about that? You want to talk to them well enough that they're not surprised by anything. But you don't want to talk to them so much that that's their focus.
That they're a bit jumpy.
So trying to get that mix is what the next 72 hours looks like.
Well, how do you get on with that mix? As a coach, you haven't had that experience. You had it as a player. So do you talk to other coaches, or do you drag what you learnt as a player?
Probably neither. Probably my starting point will be dealing with the players themselves, and you get a sense of the room. Is there a bit more nerves than there would be normally? Is there a bit less? Are they going to be shocked by the intensity of this game? OK, we need to prepare them. Or do they already look like they're dealing with a lot in their heads at the moment and you need to take things off the plate? I think dealing with the group you have is much more important than the stories of your own journey.
So do you bounce that off Sicily, the captain, or a Gunston or a Bruce, or do you go to the kids and say, how are you feeling, McDonald? How are you feeling, Weddle?
I would love to tell you it's as formal as any of this. There's a huge, like in our meeting room, there'll be 40 odd players, there'll be 20 to 30 staff, there's another 50 to 100 staff in the building. So you're always bumping into people, you're always having conversations, you're always chatting about it, and sometimes it's the staff. Sometimes the staff they're already walking through the hallways going, oh, how good's Friday night? This is going to be so exciting. And you got to, OK, just I know you're excited, but let's just, while the players are around, let's just keep it calm for a bit longer.
So are you looking forward to getting back to finals footy?
I haven't. Everyone said to me, oh, hey, you must be excited, and I haven't felt it yet, if I'm really honest. I think even talking about it right now is probably the first time I've had the spring in my voice. I'm like, we're actually going to play finals footy soon, and hasn't really grabbed me yet. I'm sure it will over the next day or two, but I think once we get into full opposition preview to the players understand exactly what matters in this game specifically. Once we get to those things, I think it becomes more and more real the closer we get.
For the course of the season, which has been entrancing, we know the way it starts and what it builds to. Is it beyond your best case scenario?
I've been thinking a lot about this in the pre-season. Teams, we're going to make the top 4. We aim to make the top 6. We aim for this thing. I don't know. I haven't done that to this point of my coaching, and I don't know if I will. It doesn't feel like that's something that is necessary for our group where we're at. So I think what we've said to our playing group is the very clear goal at the start of the season was we want to be in winnable positions. 9-goal losses is not the team we want to be this year. So we need to put ourselves in winnable positions much more often than we did last year. And so when we got beaten by 12 goals to Gold Coast in round 5, it's like, this is what we have to be past. We cannot accept this. Now, what's come of that, we've also said no speed limit, no ceiling on what we can achieve, but this is the next step. And whatever the next step in your progression is, that's your focus, not the end game.
I would say that you were a process player rather than a dreamer kind of player. Does that have to swap a little bit as coach, that you must dangle the dream carrot in front of the players, or do they know? Or is it strictly process?
It's a good question. I think it depends on your group. I think the group are probably dreamy enough. They probably have aspirations of a lot, and so I can afford to just focus on what's right in front of us. If the group was thinking just this is enough, then maybe it would be my role to talk about the dreams and what could be achievable.
Have you done that yet? Have you mentioned the word Premiership?
Oh, probably 1,000 times over the last 3 years, because that's
Have you mentioned it this week? Because it's now a bit more real.
I haven't mentioned it this week. But not deliberately. If it came up, I wouldn't be scared to say it. I think my job is to grab the other coaches and to make sure the players are as well prepared for this game as they possibly can be. Some of that is what's right in front of them, and I would dare say that's most of it. Some of it is what this means on the outside and who's going to be there and dealing with ticket requests and all the people that are watching you. And, there's a lot of you guys in the media doing a great job, but you used to have 18 teams and now you've only got 8. So everything is being watched much more closely, and so long as our players understand that, then you let them handle the manifestations of what that looks like comes out to the players.
You referenced the defence across the course of the season. What have you unlocked in your scoring in recent weeks, though, to put those scores consistently together?
It hasn't been a focus. I would love to say, we had this great plan and we made these changes. It really hasn't. It really hasn't been that, and it's very cliched for me to say it's come off the back of defence. We have done, probably my first 2 years, we had a really heavy focus on offence, and the defence you're always working on it. But this year we locked down on it, and I think Kade Simpson's done a really good job with the defenders themselves. I think there's obviously team defence, but our defenders themselves have had really good seasons. I think multiple defenders have had career best years. I think Jack Scrimshaw and Sam Frost in particular, they've both had the best seasons of their career. And I think Jarman Impey would be, if there was a second All-Australian team, he would certainly be, I think, in the conversation for that. And any Hawthorn player who goes and watches those guys say, okay, they're playing right at the top end of their ranges. So I think defensively we've had a pretty sound year.
Going to talk about the midfield battle. I mean, everyone's going to knuckle down on everything. We know your midfield and we know the Dogs' midfield. Is it more about... how much is it about restricting them and stopping what they do well as opposed to continuing to do what you do well?
The Bulldogs are a fascinating midfield. You look at the names and they suggest, the highest of calibre of play, and that's what you get when you watch them. But the thing that's probably underrated about their midfield is their pressure. They're actually not particularly good at first possession, but they're the best in the competition at stopping you create a clearance from your first possession. So in basic terms, they're the best pressuring midfield in the competition around the ball. And so we look at, Bontempelli and Treloar and the fantastic things that they can do. And, we watch Libba flick it out, Red Richards running and bouncing. And you think about the offence, but we certainly have been well aware that defensively they're going to make it really hard for us to play the way we want.
So how do you combat, how do you prepare your team for that? You might not go into great detail, but for those sitting at home, if they're going to be a really strong defensive centre square and stoppage team, what do you have to do well to don't let that dominate you?
Well, you show the players this is what they do, and you say good luck. The players know what good looks like.
What, quicker thinking, quicker hands, not support bodies. What
I would say take out of everything. No quicker, no harder. Like anything you do that's different to normal is not what you're after. We want to be quick and we want to be tough.
So that's interesting.
But if you're doing anything to an extra, you're going away. You're making yourself unpredictable. So I think playing the right way consistently enough. And they're going to be a good side. And if we play our best, they play their best, it's going to be a great game, and we have to try to produce that.
Never heard that before. Take away the ers.
I haven't said it before. So
exclusive.
The Will Day scenario answered itself when you got him out on the track? Was that
I think medically we were hopeful. And once we found there was no break, we were very hopeful. And then once a bit more research, a few more specialists, a lot of discussions, credit to our medical team, they have been above and beyond in looking after Will and making sure that his interests are number one. And as frustrating it is as a coach, because I would love to have him out there, it wasn't going to be worth the risk in this game. Doesn't mean he won't play if we can progress. But in this game, it wasn't going to be worth it, and we didn't want the circus of, you know, the double the amount of media scrutiny, and him. Every single person that meets him says, "What do you think you're going to get yourself up?" And that is his life. Dealing with that is not ideal. So unfortunately, we ruled him out.
A lot of discussions about the Bulldogs' tools, their point of difference, and a lot of discussions about Hawthorn, but they've got a really very good small to mid-size forward half. What's taking up, again, more of your thinking there? Is it a great concern their forward offensive, or you are thinking, how can we expose the Dogs at the back with our smalls?
It's a great question. It's every coach's dilemma in a week like this, where you're looking at their strengths and you're thinking about how to make sure we don't get beaten by what we know. And then you're looking at their weaknesses and saying, OK, how could we potentially exploit that? I wouldn't say they're exactly the ones that you're suggesting, but they're the things.
What would you suggest?
Well, you'll hopefully find out on Friday.
I was just hoping.
But I think the thing that we would always have to come back to is we have to play our best to challenge them. Now we're going to have they've got some concerns. We've got some concerns about how they go about it to make sure that we're all over that. But really, a lot of our focus is making sure we can play our best footy and then make them make the change rather than us, you know, jumping at shadows before we need to.
5 in a row at the MCG. Do you feel like the footy that you're playing is ideally suited to the ground where it matters most?
It's funny, early in the year, I think we lost our first 4 at the MCG, and we'd won all of our games at Marvel at that stage. So then there was a bit of a debate, does it not suit you? And now you win some games. And I think we've played at lots of different grounds. We've played in lots of different conditions. I think we've got confidence. We've played a couple of wet games lately. So that's given us a bit of confidence that if that was to happen, we'll be okay. And obviously it's natural surroundings at the MCG for us, and we're looking forward to it.
Do you feel like the W Hawks had picked up a bit of the M Hawks and the way that they play?
I did enjoy. I like the way they're playing. Webbie's done a really good job. But the selfie after the game, I did have a little chuckle to myself. I thought, they've got involved and practicing their celebrations. And no, the W was a really good game. They played well.
Part of the pride. I know we only got a minute, but the part of the pride, and well done for playing finals. And you know, if you go on and win, it'll be an extraordinary story, Sam. But part of the pride you must have is the players and the vibe, the feeling that the Hawthorn Football Club, who won 3 flags less than a decade ago, are back challenging. And they're doing it in fun, and the world's looking at them again saying, wow, have a look. How much pride have you got in that?
I think when this group of coaches and staff, when we started, a lot of what we wanted to do was produce an environment where everyone could be their best. And the amount of work, it's not an accident, you know, like so much work from so many people. And obviously as the coach, they put your head on a lot of this stuff, but very small part of a huge organisation that's all going in the same direction. And I think when you have that, it takes time. It's taken us 3 years, and we're far from finished on what we're trying to build. But to get to this point, the consistency of the decisions has been more important than the one big thing that we've done at any stage. And I think there's a lot of people who would have some pride in us being able to wear the jumper in September.
Terrific, Sam. Thanks for coming in tonight. The very best of luck on Friday night.
Thanks, guys.